All right, good afternoon, traders. Today's July 1st, 2025, new month. Hey, my name is John Carignan. I moderate and I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Hey, let's go take a look at some charts. Made 300K today. Let's look at how I did that. A lot of it was watching the bullish price action and buying the dip right alongside Wall Street. All right, let me move all this stuff out of the way so you can see it. And let's slide this over. And we'll move this up and we'll fan this out. Okay, so you can see what happened. All right, here's the market open. Let's pull it up on a 5-minute chart. Let's actually slide it over. Let's go back to the 10. All right, so all I'm doing is buying the dip. Okay, 0 DTEs right here. All right, these are 0 DTE, 620 calls. Just buying the dip, selling the peaks on these candles. That's it, 280K on those. 12,800 on these two days till expiration. 625 calls. Again, doing the same thing, buying the dips and selling the peaks. You can see the red dots are the sells, the blue dots are the loads. All right, those are the reloads, the blue dots. 9,500 on 620 calls, 1 day till expiration. Again, buying the dips and selling the peaks. 0 days till expiration, 625 calls. Just buying the dip, selling the peak on that. 625, 10 days till expiration, 4,400 on those. Again, buying the dip, selling the peaks. Made some money on some Intel calls. I have about 157 on those. And you can see price action is bullish on the Intel calls. You can see, I'll pull up Intel and you can see those calls right there, selling into the rally. Price goes up into the rally and I sold into the rally to gather $157 on those. That's it, mainly all day today, just just buying SPYs, SPY call options. I still have a lot of future expirations. So you can see I've got some 630, 45 DTE calls. I've got some 640, 30 days till expiration. I've got some 640, 24 days till expiration. I've got some 17 days till expiration, 635s, 10 days till expiration, 625s, 2 days till expiration, 625s, and 620, 1 day till expiration strike. Again, I'm looking for these to continue going up. The market's bullish. I don't see any sign of the bears. All right, we did seem like we were capped off today, but all in all, the market has held the higher ground. Let's look at the market price action. All right, we'll look at it on, let's look at it right here on game plan, and let's look at it on a 10-minute chart. Now you can see here's the price action. Let's grab my drawing tools, trash this out, grab the marker. Okay, the marker, look at price goes up, holds all through the end of the month there, and even holds and consolidates over prior consolidation on the higher ground all day today. So we are holding over yesterday's consolidation. And you see that? That's bullish. All right. Anytime you see that, you notice the bulls filled the bearish gap we had this morning. All right. That's showing you a clue that the bears couldn't hold the gap open. All right. So that means that the bulls still have strength. Look at the consolidation over the prior consolidation. That's always a bullish environment. Let's look at this. And this is yesterday's price action right through there. Let me just do it again right there. Okay, so you can see we've got consolidation over prior consolidation. That's bullish. Came down, we couldn't even take out yesterday's lows. That's bullish. Price action, no sign of the bears yet. All right, and looking at price action, consolidating and closing over yesterday's close. Again, today, new all-time high for SPY. Let's take all that off of there. Let's look at the 10-minute chart. Okay, 10-minute chart. Let's zoom in on it. And what do we got going into the close? Okay, we got consolidation. Notice price goes under the 8, over the 8, under, over, under consolidation. Leaving off with, let's just call it a 10-minute downtrend to be safe. But all in all, just consolidating right into the close, all right? Looking for a big breakout. I'm telling you, that employment situation number that comes out on Thursday, that's a market mover, all right? That comes out in the morning, so keep an eye on that, all right? So there's SPY on the 10-minute. On the 2-hour, let's look at the 2-hour chart. You can see the 3 EMA is up over the 8 EMA, still got a 2-hour uptrend. On the daily chart, okay, we still got on the daily chart, you can see price action. We have, why is that not higher? That was higher. Let's see. That high is 619.22. That high is 618.83. Let me look at that 10-minute one more time. Oh, okay, so into this close. So no, we didn't make a higher high, all right? Because we had this, see that wick up there, all right? We didn't get a higher high, so we got an inside day, all right? It's a lower high, higher low, closing over a bullish trap. My bad, all right? Closing over a bullish trap up here and over the rising 17 EMA. That's bullish. All right, we're at the top of the quadrant lines. Okay, as you can see right here, here's the quad lines. We're up top up there, so that's bullish up in quadrant 4. We made a new all-time high yesterday. Today we didn't make a new all-time high, but we were back up there challenging it again today. You can see price action up over the dip low right here, and I can't put a all-time high anchored VWAP on it because it just made it. So price action is still bullish up there at the top of quadrant 4, making higher lows and higher highs. That's an uptrend on SPY. QQQ. Let's see what QQQ did. QQQ, lower high, lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the rising 17. All that's bullish up there. Up at quadrant 4, that's bullish. Price action still in an uptrend. We're still bullish. We have not broke the 17 on QQQ daily. We have not broke the 17 on SPY daily. We're a long ways away from that. Have to come all the way under and get underneath 604 to break that 17 EMA right there. Okay, so they're SPY and QQQ. Let's look at FNGU. Okay, FNGU, lower high, lower low, closing inside the bullish trap. That's bullish. Over the 17 EMA, that's bullish. Again, they were up there making a new all-time high yesterday. We're up in quadrant 4, so that's bullish up here, up over the prior all-time high anchored VWAP. Again, making higher lows and higher highs. That's an uptrend. That's bullish. Let's take a look at IWM. IWM makes a new rally high today. We love that. Okay, almost. Is it in the upper third? Not quite. Still not quite in the upper third, all right? But you look at price action. We got an outside day. That's a lower low and a higher high. Closing over a bullish trap is always bullish. Over the rising 17, bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP is bullish. Making an attack on the upper third. You can see they almost got up there. Couldn't quite close it up there. But nice work on IWM. That's bullish. Making higher lows, higher highs. That's an uptrend. And you can see we're almost bullish up there, okay? We're still in neutral ground. Not quite in the upper third yet. Not in the lower third, definitely. So that's still it's neutral. knocking on the door to the upper third. Love that. Love the consolidation over the all-time high anchored VWAP. I love it that they're holding the higher ground up here. They're looking fantastic. IWM. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow prints a new rally high, just like IWM. Love that. Closing over a bullish trap. That's bullish over the 17. Rising 17. That's bullish over this all-time high anchored VWAP. That's bullish. Getting ready to make an attack on the all-time high up here. Okay, that's bullish. Quadrant 4, bullish. Look at the consolidation, and now you're getting a breakout, making higher lows. Obviously, if you got a new rally high, you're making higher highs. So there's Diamond Dow. That's bullish. Everything is still bullish, even though we had red days in SPY, QQQ, FNGU. I think SPY was a green day. But anyways, price action is still bullish. All right, the markets are still bullish. All right, let's take a look at T2122. Hey, look at this. Failed to make a lower low in the buy zone down here, or in the buyer's chop zone. So we went airborne. We flew over buy zone, wound up in the overbought zone, and camped out here all day long right here in the overbought zone. So nice work on T2122. T2123, look at this. Okay, green from the beginning of the day, almost to the end of the day. Last candle here looks like they had a refreshment and left a little bit early. Okay, but nice rip up there and holding. Look, holding the higher ground. That's bullish. We're up over rising 200 SMA. That's bullish. Up over prior all-time high here and prior all-time high here. Again, you're making higher lows. You're making higher highs. That's bullish. On the 3-bar chart, okay? Again, as I said this morning, look at the space opening up between the price candles or the data candles, all right, and the 17 EMA. Notice how big it got today. Nice work on T2123 3-candle chart. Again, we're making higher lows. We're making higher highs. We're in an uptrend. We're over the flat 200 SMA. All of this is bullish, all right? T2123. 3-bar chart is bullish and in an uptrend. 15-minute chart, bullish and in an uptrend. FNGU, bullish and in an uptrend, all right? Everything is working out so far. So far. Daily chart is in a daily downtrend, but hey, let's face it, the candles are not moving down. Instead, they're moving up. All right, so the daily chart, we have not made a higher high. We're getting close. Okay, all we got to do is take out this high right here. So this is where we have to go. Right there. If we take that number out right there, we negate the daily downtrend. Again, it's just a label. The big deal is candles are moving up. The daily candles are moving up. This is looking fantastic. Again, T2123. Okay, now we take a look at FNGU. And from the beginning of the day, all right, FNGU, what do we get today? Okay, we got selling from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. All right, so had a nice rally. Now we're getting a pullback. We're still up over this 200 SMA. Hopefully we get a higher low that produces another higher high. All right, so FNGU having an off day. All right, had that been a green day, I have a feeling 620, 625 would have definitely been in the record books for SPY today. So there's FNGU on the 15-minute chart, taking a little breather down here, okay? Again, we're still up over the prior consolidation. Okay, notice we've got consolidation right up here on top of prior consolidation right here. So maybe come back, J hook off of the base up here. That would be nice. We'll see. FNGU still looking good. Not the best day for us today on the FNGU. All right, let's take a look at some sectors, and we'll start off with first sector. We'll look at XLE. All right, XLE, just like I said this morning, when it went up and they gave it up. All right, so that makes them just neutral. You can see price action, all right, is over downtrend line 2, but under downtrend line 1. All right, so that's neutral. Again, they went up and they gave it up, so that makes them neutral. They went down and they gave it up, that makes them neutral. They're right back where they started. Okay, so XLE is still in an uptrend. All right, they just failed to hold the higher ground. They have been making higher lows and higher highs, but they're having trouble holding the higher ground. You can see price action on XLE struggling with this all-time high right there. They just tagged it. Hopefully they don't set up a head and shoulders. I'd like to see them kind of consolidate here. Maybe they could hold this area just underneath the midpoint here. Okay, if they wander down here again, they'll be in bearish territory. All right, they'll still be in an uptrend until they take out this low down here. Okay, so there's XLE. All right, just neutral. Again, not in the upper third, not in the lower third, so just neutral. Again, they keep going up, giving it up, going down, giving it up. Okay, so that's XLE. USO. USO, again, just like XLE goes up, gives it up. So that's neutral, all right? They go down, and look, they give it up there too. So they're neutral. They're not in the upper third. They're not in the lower third, so they're just neutral. They are consolidating a little bit different. They're on top of this 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's a post-COVID high right there. Okay, so they're on top of that, a little bit healthier than XLE, all right? You can see price action is on the midpoint, okay? Again, they go down, they give it up, they go up, they give it up. They're not in the upper third, they're not in the lower third, so they're just neutral right through here. Let's take a look at UNG, and in an uptrend. They have not made a lower low, okay? They've made a higher low here and a higher high, okay? This is possibly another higher low. We don't know yet, all right? They're not finished moving. Okay, so there we go with USO, all right? I like the idea that they're consolidating over the 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's looking good, all right? Just don't want them to melt all the way down here. They get in the lower third again. Of course, they're going to be bearish. It's USO. Let's take a look at, they're still in an uptrend. UNG's in a downtrend, okay, because they made a low here 4 days ago. They had a low here. See the valley there? Well, they made a lower low, so they're in a downtrend. Today's candle, not the best candle for the bulls. Lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap. That's always bearish. Under the 17, that's bearish. Underneath this 18-month high anchored VWAP, all right, which is not a very high bar to set right there. Okay, that's underneath that, that's bearish. All right, you can see they're not in the they're not even in the, they're in the lower 1/3. Let's raise this up so you can see the bottom there. Try it one more time. Come on, catch. Okay, so right here, see how they're not, they're in the lower third, so that's bearish, and they're in a downtrend, and they're under the uptrend line, and they're showing a head and shoulders pattern. Got the left shoulder, right shoulder, and all of this is the head, all right? So they're bearish and in a downtrend. Look at this bear flag they put in. Okay, kind of figured that was coming. How far they go lower, I don't know. Are they going to make new all-time lows? Well, we'll see. All right, so there's UNG on the daily chart. Okay, that's bearish. If you didn't know it, it's in a downtrend. If you didn't know it, all right, that's UNG. Let's take a look at SMH. SMH is bullish. It's up here in quadrant 4. All right. It's up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. You can see they made an attack on the all-time high over here yesterday. Didn't quite make it, but still bullish. All right, up here in the top of quadrant 4. Okay, that's fantastic. That's bullish over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, this is in an uptrend. We have not broke the uptrend line. Look at the 17 EMA. Okay, we have not broke that. Everything is looking fantastic for SMH. All right, they're just cooling off a little bit. Look, 5 days up. Hey, 3 days cool off sometimes. Okay, this is normal stuff. All right, market is not falling apart. Market is still bullish. All right, let's take a look at XLK. XLK, new all-time high yesterday. Today, taking a little cool-off day, okay? Lower high, lower low, closing in a bullish trap. That's bullish over the 17. That's bullish over this prior all-time high anchored VWAP, bullish. Okay, top of quadrant 4, that's still bullish. Okay, again, look at price is up over all of this consolidation. That's very bullish when you got price over all of this consolidation. Hopefully they can hold this higher ground. That's XLK. Let's take a look at XLF. Hey, by the way, earnings are coming out for the financials. I think on July 15th, all right? I think I heard somebody say that this morning. All right, let's take a look at the highs. All right, so financials. I'd say I've been telling people to keep an eye on this, all right? Watch this one. They're going to look good. All right, the high there, 52.76. The high here, 52.63. So there's a new all-time high for the financials. Look at the price action. Moves up, holds the higher ground. I'm telling you, that's my favorite price action. Okay, when you got price moves up and holds that higher ground. Okay, it takes a tremendous amount of energy to move up and hold the higher ground. It's like they're in a plank. All right, you know what it's like to be in a plank. All right, they're holding the higher ground up here. Okay, so moving up, holding that higher ground. What do they get? They get rewarded with a nice breakout, and now they're making new all-time highs. That's fantastic on the financials. All right, so you can see up over the prior all-time high anchored VWAP because that's the new all-time high. All right, XLF, bullish. All right, and in an uptrend, it's making a new all-time high. How many times I got to say it? It doesn't get any better than that. All right, it doesn't get any more bullish than that. All right, so there's XLF, new all-time high today. That's fantastic. All right, let's take a look at last one, IYT. All right, IYT makes a new rally high. Oh my gosh, we love that. Okay, and look at this. We're in the upper third. That's bullish. New rally high. Remember the rally started down here. It seemed like forever. Okay, underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, it didn't look like we were ever going to get up over it. And finally we got up over it. And now we're holding for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and look, the 5-day hold, and then what happens? You get a rip. All right, after a 5-day hold, 4-day hold, look for the rip. All right, nice rip on IYT today. Beautiful price action. Look at that, up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, that's bullish if you didn't know that. Okay, moves up, holds the higher ground. Okay, not quite in quadrant 4 where we would have loved to seen it much earlier. In June and possibly in May, but look, moves up, holds the higher ground up here. That's bullish, and now they're getting rewarded with a nice breakout here today. Okay, so up here in the upper third, that's bullish. Here's the question: if they get up here in the quadrant 4, can they hold it? Notice they've been up here before and they give it up. They went up, gave it up, went up, gave it up. Okay. Went down and gave it up. So that made them just neutral for a long time. Okay, now today they are in the upper third. That's bullish up there. Okay, if they can hold over all of this consolidation, that will be a very bullish clue. All of this consolidation right through here. Okay, if we can get them to hold up over that and consolidate on top of that, that would be in the upper third and in quadrant 4. That would be tremendous bullish. All right, and now what we got is the Trinity. All right, the market Trinity, which is like some people call it the semiconductors, you can call it technology, either one. Okay, so semiconductors or technology. Okay, and then you got the financials and then the transports. We like the transports because the transports are showing us goods and services are getting sold off the shelf. All right, are getting scheduled. All right, you got and trucks are out there bringing replenishments to restock those shelves. All right, so we like it when trucking and shipping and freight, okay, whether it's trains or trucks, semi-trucks, doesn't matter. Anyways, All of that shows us products are getting moved, products are getting consumed. The market is looking fantastic, all right? Whenever we see transports in an uptrend, and there are in an uptrend, all right? Finally getting that breakout into the bullish upper third. So we love this. So transports. So it's technology, financials, which new all-time high. Technology made a new all-time high yesterday. Financials made a new all-time high today. Transports make a new rally high today. Okay, you can see the market is bullish. I don't see any bears yet. Okay, that's not a bad thing. All right, and let me just say, we got a lot of things in the pipeline. All right, we got the big beautiful bill coming out. Okay, that could add a lot of capital inject a lot of capital into the economy. All right, big beautiful bill. Maybe we get some stuff repaired. All right, maybe we get some stuff done. All right, so that maybe we get some maybe a nice shield to protect us from missiles and rockets from some crazy people. That would be nice. All right, so there's IYT again. Big beautiful bill is on the table. All right, maybe we get some peace over there between Ukraine and Russia. That would be nice if people could stop killing each other. All right, then we could open up some nice markets and start doing some trade with them. That's looking fantastic. We got a falling dollar. Falling dollar sucks for the consumer, but let me just say, for the investor, it's a fantastic thing because that opens up new markets. All right, whenever foreign countries got to purchase our goods and services, well, they got to convert their currency to ours. And if our dollar is rich, all right, it makes it more expensive. So when we got a weak dollar, this is fantastic and helps them. And it makes their easier on their pocketbooks when it's time to pay us because the dollar's not as strong as it could have been. All right, so that opens up new markets and makes us competitive globally. All right, when it comes to global sales and service. All right, and goods and services. All right, so there we go with IYT. All right, and there we go with pipeline stuff. What else do we have in the pipeline besides the big beautiful? We got some rate cuts that have been talked about, okay? We've got some trade deals that could get finalized. Wouldn't it be nice if we got some free trade? Like, you don't tariff us, we don't tariff you. Everything's, equal. That would be a beautiful thing, all right? If we could get some free trade, and maybe out of Mexico, maybe out of Europe, maybe out of Japan, anywheres, all right? Free trade from anywheres would be a beautiful thing, all right? So we got some, no tariffs, all right? Because tariffs are just going to add more cost to us as consumers down the road. We're the ones that pay the tariffs, not them, all right? They suffer because they lose the business, all right? But we suffer because we got to pay more for the same dishwasher, refrigerator, whatever it is, air conditioner that was made overseas, all right? So that sucks for us as consumers, all right? But it's great for business if they want to open up that factory over here in the USA, all right? But that takes time, all right? So, again, we don't want tariffs, all right? We'd rather have just free trade, You make your goods and services, we make ours. Nobody hurts anybody, okay? That would be nice, all right? So we got a lot of stuff in the pipeline that could really push us up to SPY 650, maybe even 700, all right? A lot of things in the pipeline. We'll see what happens here. Right now, the market's incredibly bullish. I don't see any signs of the bears. Again, we're going to be bullish until we're not. All right, my favorite pattern to trade is, I've been saying it almost every video. All right, it's a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. That's inside of a 2-hour uptrend. That's inside of a daily uptrend. That's inside of a weekly uptrend. That's inside of a monthly uptrend. Okay, you get a stack like that, it just doesn't get any better than that. Okay, you get all those things put together, and all of that over the prior all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, all of that put together. That's my favorite. It just doesn't get any better than that. All right, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. All right, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP inside a 2-hour uptrend. All right, that's the 3 EMA on top of the 8 EMA. All right, on inside of a daily uptrend, so that 2-hour uptrend's inside a daily uptrend. Again, that's the 3 EMA on top of the 8 EMA. All right, inside of a weekly uptrend. Again, that's that 3 EMA. All right, on top of that 8 EMA. All right, inside of a monthly uptrend, okay, and all of that over the all-time high anchored VWAP or the prior all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, that's my bullish setup. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. This is a rare opportunity, okay? When we got a situation such as that or an environment like that, all right, you wind up making new all-time highs. Hence, that's what we did yesterday. New all-time high for SPY, new all-time high for QQQ, new all-time high for XLK. And look at today, new all-time high for financials. Okay, thank you. All right, Robert wants to look at UNH and UBER. So he wants to take a peek at Uber and UNH, and then we're going to call it a day, and we'll come back and do this tomorrow. Hey, let's go look at the map. All right, Robert, I'll be right with you. I just got to look at the map here. Let's take this off. All right, where are we with the map? Because we've been following the map. All right, let's take this out, and let's put some arrows in, and let's cover up what needs to be covered up here. Okay, so we didn't do this. All right, so that's off the table. Let me get a fat one. All right, so we didn't do this. Okay, so we're not going there. All right, and we're not going here. Okay, so those don't exist. Okay, so this is where we are with the map. Okay, let's get the gold one out because this is the golden age. Okay, we pulled back and we're headed up to 620. Okay, we got up to 618, almost 619, so we're right about there right now. And what do I expect to happen after 620? I actually expect to go through 620. I really do. I'd like to see price consolidate over the prior all-time high. That's what I'd be looking for after we tag 620. All right. Now, I don't know because we've been up there 2-3 times already, but we have not gotten through 620. That kind of tells me that might not be the target. And it kind of says maybe the target's a little bit higher. And I've always had my sights set on 650. So we'll see what happens. But eventually they're going to need to cool off and consolidate. All right. As long as they consolidate over prior consolidation or over the prior all-time highs, okay, which is about 613, that would be really bullish. So maybe we get up to 623 and then we waffle back and forth for $10 over 613. That would be nice. And consolidate while we're waiting for some of this stuff in the pipeline to manifest itself, and then we get ready for our next big breakout. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm thinking might happen. All right, up to 623, and then maybe pull back and start to consolidate over the prior all-time high, which is 613. All right, for $10. All right, maybe we even go to 625 and then pull back to 613 and consolidate in a $10 consolidation pattern over the prior all-time high. That's kind of what I'm looking for, but we haven't quite got to 623 or 625 yet. All right, so we'll see what happens. All right, so we haven't made any trips back to 605. All right, so we're still looking good. We haven't even made a trip back to 613 yet. All right, so I think maybe we go higher. All right, maybe up to 623, maybe up to 625. All right, so and I'm telling you, if we hit 620 tomorrow early in the day, chances are we're going through it, and we're probably going to go up to 623, maybe even 625. We'll see, but that's where we are with the pattern. Okay, we've been trading this consolidation pattern, and it's been getting us to our destination. All right, let's take a look at UBER and UNH. All right, that's our book there. Let's get the map back up there. Okay, I'm on the daily chart. UNH. That's bearish, Robert. That's a big bear flag. They went up here and they went up here. You know, that's 3 times attacking this area. If they don't get on top of that, you know, up to this area here, they're probably going to have to go check out the bottom low one more time. All right, but that's a big bear flag. It's looking like the bottom is in for this, but we don't know where the downtrend line goes because this is just way too steep right through here. Okay, that's obviously way too steep, okay, to call this the downtrend line. All right, so let's swing it out and let's see what we got with this. Okay, I'm just gonna try to pin the tops of that one and that other little one right there. Okay, so you might get, you know, I could possibly see price pulling up to 380. All right, so you got failure to make a lower low here, failure to make a lower low here. I think it's still in a bear flag. I think it's still in a downtrend underneath this downtrend line, but I think you get a pullback kind of right to there to where the gap fill is to this downtrend line. So I would circle this area as a possible target. Again, right on the same latitude as gap fill right through there. So I would move this so that this area here looks like a probable destination, either somewhere in here. All right, it looks like they're ramping up. All right, they're making higher lows here. All right, and you got a big candle breakout here. You're going to need follow through on this candle. If they rest for one day, the next day has to give us follow through. All right, so if tomorrow is red, all right, the very next day after that, all right, needs to be green and wipe out the red day. All right, so you've got an igniting move right here. All right, and I think there's a possibility you're coming up over the base. I think there's a possibility you come up here to this downtrend line, right up over here. It might take you a little while to get there, but you failed to make a lower low here, and you failed to make a lower low here. It's in a bear flag right now. All right, and nothing says it won't consolidate over to the right some more. For me, I wouldn't touch this. It's just me. I think I would be better served to find something in the XLF that's making new all-time highs, or something in the XLK that's making new all-time highs. I think I would be better served with something there in this bullish market, because that's a bear flag right there. So if you take it, again, be careful with it. All right, but I see a possible move right up there into that notch, do the whole gap fill thing, and it's going to take a little while, all right, to get up there. But I see an igniting move here. Maybe they get some follow through, and you wind up up here at 378.41 area. Okay, yeah, SPY's better, or something in the XLF. Keep an eye on like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, some of that stuff in there. Obviously, somebody in there is making new highs. All right, that's a bear flag for me. I think try to find something that's bullish, unless of course you want, you know, delta neutral. You would need something short if you wanted to neutralize your portfolio, because you're overweight on everything long because the market's so bullish. But anyways, that's a bear flag. Just be careful with that. All right, coming back up to here, I can foresee this probably coming up there and making it right there. All right, so look for that to manifest. I like the igniting candle here. Just need some follow through tomorrow. There's UNH. Take a look at UBER. Daily chart. Hey, that's bullish right there. You're up at the highs. Are those all-time highs? Yeah, those are all-time highs right there. That's bullish up there. You got a W pattern. All right, so you're back up at the highs. And look at the consolidation. Oh gosh, look at the 5-day hold. All right, that's fantastic right there. Uber, I like Uber much more than I like the other one, UNH. All right, that looks fantastic with the failure to make a lower low right here. So here they are back up at the highs, and they're consolidating for 5 days. All right, I think this is ready for a breakout. You're right up into resistance. Obviously, you can see this is where you got shot down before, or price got shot down. Not you got shot down, but price got shot down before. Okay, and you're back up here consolidating with a nice 5-day hold. This is looking ready. It's in the grinder box. This is looking ready for a breakout. I love that one. I like that one a lot. That's a nice find. Yeah, you got nothing overhead. All right, you got no prior price action other than that, other than this red candle. That's it. And you already proven you can hold the higher ground for 5 days. All right, so it's looking good. All right, and I like this higher low here and that higher low there. I like it. The only thing you got is that red candle there. So it's fantastic. So you're up over, looking like you're up over resistance there. All right, it's in a little grinder box ready to break out just for you. All right, Judy, Bank of America did the all-time high. Thank you, Judy. You sure, Judy? I think it did a rally high. Okay, I got highs up here. You probably didn't see this way over here. Up there. Okay, so I think we got a new rally high on BAC, right? New rally high. But looking good. This is looking good. Ready to attack the all-time highs up there. Thanks, Robert. You too. Have a great day. All right. That's it for me for today. Okay. Fantastic day again. All right. See you guys all tomorrow, 8 o'clock. All right. We'll do it again. All right. The market's bullish. Thanks, Judy. Hey, the market's bullish. 5508 seems BAC all-time high. 5508. Okay, so there's an even higher high than that. Yes, yeah, way over here. Even further back than the one I saw. Yep. Okay. Got a little downtrend line going right there. Right there. All right, that's it. I'll see you guys all tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning. All right? Yeah. Way back. I didn't see it either. Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Brad. Brad, did you do all right today? Kind of a chop day, no trend. kind of a tough day. Alan, Gene, Robert, everybody, thanks. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. You didn't miss anything, all right? So, hey, the big day is going to be the employment situation, okay? And I think that's going to be the big day for a breakout, all right? That's Thursday, all right? And that's a short day, too, all right? So, if you get to trade one day, that would be the day. All right. Got a Canadian holiday. Hope you enjoy that day. All right. All right. I'll see you guys all tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Let's do it again. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thanks, Scott. Thank you, everybody. See you all tomorrow.